Everybody, welcome into Bayou Time. I'm Harry McCullough. We're talking water in this edition of Bayou Time. Mike Sobert is the general manager of Terrebonne Consolidated Waterworks.
Yes.
Mike, thanks so much for being here. This can go in so many different ways when you start talking about water.
Yes, sir.
It's so interesting when I talk to you about it. We just don't turn a faucet and it comes out, right?
No, and I think I had to kind of help people remember that and know that there's a whole lot that goes into it to make sure that the water not only comes out, but that the water is safe.
Right.
That it comes out.
Right, and you know, even when we talk about infrastructure, we talk about Flint, Michigan. We talked about all of these places, New Orleans. Sometimes we worry about different things. We had the elevated tank that wasn't working anymore after Ida.
Correct.
It was one of the issues that you guys had. We had some other kind of pipes problems that were happening. And now y'all decided to go ahead and change disinfectant. So can you walk me through that process a little bit?
So the law that regulates public municipal water systems it's called the Safe Drinking Water Act. It was instituted by Congress in 1974 and promulgated and carried out by the EPA. And they say that a surface water treatment plant, of which Consolidated Waterworks is, we get our water from the surface, Mississippi River through Bayou Lafourche, Intracoastal Canal, Bayou Black, must be on chloramines to prevent disinfectant byproducts. Well, when the hurricane hit, there was so much damage. As you know, we lost pressure. We couldn't keep water. We lost an elevated tank. We had tons of broken pipes all over the place. A lot of bad things going on top of the ground and in the ground during that hurricane. And once we got back up and running, we applied to the state, Louisiana Department of Health, and requested to be allowed to go to free chlorine. That's straight chlorine water, just like you bleach.
Right.
Clorox bleach. Ours, of course, is much stronger.
Sure.
But anyway, that was it, and they granted that. So we have been on free chlorine now for a little over 4 months. Along with our request, they did not remove the requirements that we have to meet as far as disinfectant byproducts go. And so we chose now, after all the tests, 4 months, everything is fixed as best as it can be fixed right now, and we're very confident, as always, that the water is safe. We're going to make that change back to chloramine.
Where we were.
Chloramine is a mixture of chlorine and ammonia, NH3. So you got Cl2, NH3 becomes NH2Cl as a chloramine. And what that does, the ammonia acts to make the chlorine last longer. It's not quite as strong as free chlorine, but it's strong enough to kill bacteria, but it lasts longer. As you know, because of our run-ins with the Naegleria fowleri, the brain-eating amoeba, we're required to have a higher than normal residual. And one of the ways you do that is by using chloramines, because it makes it last a lot longer. Remember, we have about 1,000 miles of pipe through all of Terrebonne Parish. And so sometimes if the demand is there, like a pipe breaks and outside water gets in, that creates a demand. It has germs and bacteria. The way you kill that is with chlorine. So to make it last, to get the cocodril, the pointer shell, the endodulor, or the shriva, is you make it a chloramine and it lasts a lot longer. So that's what we're doing now.
Now, from a customer standpoint, is anybody going to smell any different, taste any different, look any different?
No, actually, the only thing that probably will happen is because the ammonia is combined with the chlorine, you won't have that smell. That swimming pool smell shouldn't be there.
Right.
We started yesterday. We were in Houma yesterday afternoon. Probably by the end of the week, we'll be everywhere. We can rush it if we have to. We're not in a hurry. So it takes us usually 4 or 5 days to get it from where it's at to where it needs to be.
Where do you start putting those in? And I mean, do you put them in different points? Where do you start with the chloramines as opposed to?
They're actually done at both our water treatment plants. One here in Houma on Munson Drive, and of course the other one on Water Plant Road in Shriva. And that's a whole part of the whole process that goes through in disinfecting and cleaning and getting water out. So the chlorine is added long before the ammonia. The way we do it, right before it goes out, we hit it with ammonia and then it takes off.
And then it takes off and it'll go all
and
the way to
it goes all over the place. Now, we have booster stations. Usually, not too much right now, but in the summertime when it really gets hot and it's hard to keep residuals, we boost in probably 10 or 15 places in the parish to get to get the chlorine up,
I see.
to get the residual up.
We talked before, this is a difficult area to keep water. We have a lot of vegetation in the water that sometimes will cause you guys issues. I imagine we had a lot more vegetation with all the trees down.
Yeah, it's the organic content that comes from decaying trees, organic matter, gets into the water, and actually one of the other things we have to do is we're required by law to keep the total organic content a reduction before we even treat the water. It's been proven that the organic matter is a precursor to disinfectant byproducts. As the name implies, disinfectant byproducts, whenever you kill the bacteria in the water, what it says
Where's that go?
Yeah, it says that. You know, it's like, no offense, like little bacteria, dead bodies floating around. Well, they're all organic. And so we have a lot of rules that prevent that because in the EPA's 1 in a million rule, they think that a high amount of disinfectant byproducts might actually cause, and I'm going to say the C word. And that tends to kind of shock everybody type of thing. And so we have rules to follow, and we stay following them.
No, I mean, and look, that's one of those basic things we think in the first world that just open the tap, we're all good to go. But
till you get sick,
then you see,
you worry about
like
it.
You see Flint, we've seen what St. James Parish has had that amoeba a couple times affect people.
St.
So
John,
St. John, excuse me. A lot of things changing after storm, right?
Tons of stuff changing.
What would we learn from the storm, and what do we need to do different, or what's going to be different? We may not have learned. There might be a forced lecture on top of us.
Well, I think from a personal standpoint here, this hurricane was very humbling. You know, we did all the things we thought was right to do. We have backup generators, we have diesel, I mean, you know, all those kinds of things until you all of a sudden find out, that wasn't enough. And so obviously we've already started the ball to make additional plans to harden some of our infrastructure. Again, you know, we actually trying to figure out how to take better care of our people, and not only our people, but our people's families. Because if I have an operator, I want the operator to be concentrating on water and not worry about what his wife and children are doing somewhere else. So we're going to build some safe houses out of a building that we had to try and house some of our level 1, tier 1 type of employees that we have. I think from a federal government standpoint, or at least the rules and regulations, it has nothing to do really with a hurricane per se, but there's a lot of stuff coming to try and make and assure that the drinking water is safe. One of the big things that really won't affect us is that we've gotten rid of all the lead in our system that we know of. And when we come across it, we just change it right away. But the president and his Clean Act, whatever, has put a lot of money into actually going in and changing lead pipes, which was what Flint, Michigan had a problem
and that's what I wanted to ask you about. Yeah, Flint, Michigan was the big headliner, but there was a lot of, when you look at New Orleans, a 300-year-old city, and a lot of older cities probably have a lot of lead pipes. We don't have that issue.
No.
And one of the big issues at Flint was that they changed where they were getting the water from, and it affected their pipe.
That's correct.
We even if you have lead pipes here, there's a coating that goes in our.
Yes, we use a corrosion inhibitor. Sequest is what we use. It's NSF 61 is approved by the government for drinking water. We add it, and basically what it does is it lines the inside of all the pipes. Our pipes, your pipes, things like that. You have people with copper, galvanized, PEX, PVC, red rubber hoses, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of the chemicals we use, primarily chlorine, is very corrosive. So we have, we call them coupon stations. We have 9 of them in the parish where water runs through them 24/7. And they have little metal strips in there. And each one of them is a particular metal, and we weigh it before and we weigh it after. So if it weighs a lot less, then we got a corrosion problem. And so we find out what's going on, we adjust it. But the big thing is going to be lead, primarily in the schools, okay, in drinking water schools. So we've checked the ones that we had. Terrebonne Parish is safe. But that's going to be a big push. There's another one, you might hear it, called PFAS. I can't even say the words, but basically it's the chemical that they use when they spray foam on a fire. Very cancer causing, very long lasting, it don't go away, and it gets in the water system. We were tested, I think 2 or 3 years ago. We barely could find any in our raw water, so we're safe on that. We just have tanks that get blown down in hurricanes and things like that to worry about. But the government and the regulators are constantly striving to make sure that people like us put out the best product we can, sure, and that people can feel confident in using and drinking the water and not getting sick.
Right. You talked about 1 in a million. You're not talking about Dumb and Dumber where you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
1 in a million is a little different to get to that point, and you're measured every so often, like every couple of months.
Yeah, every
on
quarter.
a rolling average,
That
right?
is correct, yes, sir.
So you guys got to be up to
Oh,
standards.
yeah, and it's done, and it's, we don't even take the test. The state comes in and takes the test to make sure that there's no improprieties or anything like that. We don't even touch it. Mm-hmm. They just come get their stuff, they go, and then a week later they send it to you. But when I talked about disinfectant byproducts, that's what I was referring to, in that the feds, the EPA, has a 1 in a million standard, they call it. So if you drink 1 liter of water that has a high disinfectant byproduct every day for 70 years, there's a 1 in a million chance that you might get cancer. That's the 1 in a million.
Standard,
that's
right.
their standard.
Right.
And so obviously, if we were to break that, and then they call it public notice, I have to write a letter, and I have to guarantee that every customer of ours got that letter, and it says we broke that rule, right, and this is what it means. Right. I don't even get to make the word.
Right.
They send me the word to tell you. Yeah. So it's serious stuff. We've not done it yet,
thank
ever.
Goodness, right?
And
right.
But again, that's part of why we're changing this disinfectant, to be sure the test won't be until February for Homer and March for Shreva. But every quarter they come and they test 4, and when they test the 5th one, they drop the last one, and so it's a rolling average.
Right. No, and it's good. Look, I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of big hassle for you, but it's great that the entire United States has that kind of standard. We take for granted a lot of times what comes out of our tap when we all probably travel to countries where we're drinking it up. Don't know what their standards are. So thank you so much, Mike.
Always my pleasure, Harry. Thank you.
Very interesting, and we appreciate you sharing.
Anytime. Thank you, sir.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Bayou Time. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see y'all next time.